Shalom. This is Mary Omni from the World Government House of King David, Holy Covenant Constitutional Enforcer. I'm the woman of Galatians 4:4 and the woman of Revelations 12. Please refer to your Bible. And all I ask you to do is consider that I am who I say I am. I'm the mother of the New Jerusalem, and I'm the mother that gave birth to newborn King Emmanuel, February the 15th, 2011. The old earth closed 11/11/11, the end of last year. I'm making this recording December. Really, it's the end of November. So it's between November the 30th and December the 1st that I'm recording this, 2012. This is a Republic notice. This Republic notice is Michael Jackson, children are destitute. Michael Jackson claimed 3 children as his. Paris Jackson, Prince Michael Jackson, and the youngest one, Blanket Jackson. These children are children of incorporate doctrines. Michael Jackson, mother Catherine Jackson, is a constitutional citizen, supreme contractual heir. She has no consent to any and has not consented to any contracts of incorporate doctrines. Michael Jackson's mother, Catherine Jackson, is an octogenarian. She is the Supremacy Clause first investor in Michael Jackson. Her and her husband, Mr. Joe Jackson, are first investors in Michael Jackson. Therefore, any estate that Michael Jackson had when he passed on automatically reverted back to her by supreme contract. She's a supreme contractor. See, Catherine Jackson can't consent to anything by supreme contract. She's Judah, and she's from Black America Judah, as 3/5 couldn't even consent to be put in the Constitution. And then when they became legal citizens, they became 14th non-consenter inheritors. They didn't consent to inherit the 14th. They inherited it. God people inherit. They don't consent. She's part of the namesake, part of the namesake, the set apart people that God reserved for himself as his people. And she has the DNA of those who suffered 400 and 500 years here in North America. Now, Babylon, or incorporate doctrine contractors, are people who come here voluntarily, are people who contract, but they have no constitutionality. Because if the 14th is non-consented, they can't claim constitutionality on that. The 14th been non-consented since 1868. And 1870 sealed it. That was the 15th Amendment. That was the New Jerusalem Wall. It sealed it. So all citizenships were cut off in truth in 1868 with the non-consented inherited 14th Amendment going to blacks. And the slaughterhouse cases confirmed this. Just like the Dred Scott case of 1857 confirmed Dred Scott had no legal rights. That is no legal rights to consent. So when he became a citizen, 13th, 14th, and 15th, he inherited all because he couldn't consent for nothing. He couldn't consent for the 1866 national persons when blacks became a nation, not a community, a nation, a Judaic nation in North America as the national citizens of contractual enforcement since 1866. And that contractual enforcement is automatic. It don't depend on anybody else. It's automatically enforced. So, and then it was constitutionalized. So, Catherine Jackson is the supreme contractual enforcer. Now, the estate handlers are incorporate doctrines, and they're trying to pretend that they're in corporate doctrine contracts of non-citizenship where they contract with a U.S. corporation and really are part of all world debt contracts as the Babylon UN multitude of nations that come and squad here in America. They pretend that they got a contract supreme to Catherine Jackson. Then they use the Bar Association, who is embedded like scabies in every state, every city, every judgeship, in our state attorney general office. The Bar Association is a scaby, blood-sucking association. Their whole purpose is to bar the Constitution. Why? So they can steal and embezzle. And so this is what they basing the estate planners on. The Bar Association and their connections to steal and embezzle money from Catherine Jackson and to use these in corporate doctrine-born children from a bondwoman as somebody who can be the ploy to continue to steal and embezzle Catherine Jackson's money and her estate and her wealth, that by Catherine Jackson holding of it is debt-free. But Sony and the estate planners and using these children who want to run to Babylon already, they're trained early on to run to Babylon, feel as though Babylon is their family that they're going to control the constitutional citizens with. Paris has started already. Now, Janet Jackson is about 30 years older than Paris. And if you could think back, none of us would never be sitting up there arguing with our aunts that's about 30 years older than us, like they are our peers. Now, she already smells as if she thinks she owns Catherine enough to go on the internet and tell all their business. That's why she needs to know she was born from a bondwoman. See, we don't need to know whether or not Michael Jackson was their father, because we know no constitutional citizen was their mother. And so they was not born from a supreme contractor. And he have brothers who have children that are not from constitutional supremacy contractors, that are born under bond contracts. So she have several grandchildren that are born under bond contracts that are contracted with world debt and who have a mother that is a bondwoman of world debt contracts. Therefore, as being part of the Judaic nation, Catherine Jackson estate is Catherine Jackson's only in the hands of non-consenters who protect the estate of Catherine Jackson. But if anything happened where the non-consenters can protect Catherine Jackson and her estate, that is still the nation property also, because Catherine Jackson is married to the nation that has a 400-year, 500-year North American investment in her, as Judah is married to Judah. So that's how far Michael Jackson's children is from having any contractual rights to that wealth. It belongs to a black American before it belongs to them, or a constitutional black American before it belongs to them. So whoever they was born from an inferior contract, and that inferior contract is part of debt that's sitting up here squatting in America, that's embedded in contracts of world debt. So the children inherited world debt contracts. They're bond children. And Sarah said her children, through Isaac, which black Americans are, her children would not be subject to bond children. In other words, no bond children would be heirs with her children or her descendants. Catherine Jackson, full children of constitutional non-consent jurisdiction. You want to blame it on race? Yeah, they're black, because non-consenters are black. And the Constitution is non-consenters, wholly consenters. And that's all is in the Constitution. Okay? And non-consenters happen to be like Dred Scott, full black. Okay? So it's non-consent. And Catherine do have non-consenter grandchildren, and they are the direct heirs of her estate because they're not bond children and they're not contracted to world debt contracts who can't protect the estate anyway and will just be throwing good money after bad. So Michael Jackson children are truly a charity case. They're trying to make them more than they are because they want to commit larceny, embezzle, and steal from Catherine Jackson. Catherine Jackson not only owns Michael estate, she owns the Beatles debt-free, Michael estate debt-free, Neverland debt-free, Sony debt-free, RCA debt-free, Sony Pictures debt-free, because the estate planners keep on contracting her money to these organizations and keep on committing corporate fraud of embezzlement and larceny. And to top it off, Catherine Jackson owns the mule. So they contracting with the mule that is the U.S. corporation. See, that's the mule. You can take the 40 acres and a mule for a joke. You can take her constitutional citizen for a joke. But guess what? Michael children was born under dung contracts. The state planners have dung contracts because the mule craps out the dung, because the mule protects Judah wealth, constitutionality, debt-free wealth. So Judah owns the mule. Judah owns the mule by non-consent jurisdiction, okay, and supreme contract of anything on this land. As I said, they had contract enforcement rights since 1866 in all jurisdictions and all 50 states. So therefore, Paris needs to know she is a bond children and she is at the mercy of Catherine Jackson, and it's due to Michael Jackson that they are taken care of and provided for. But they are not special, and they will not inherit the wealth just to throw it to debt. They are part of the world debt. Their mother is a bond woman. They was born from a bond woman. They was born as debtors. On the 14th, they was born on stolen 14th land and property. They have no wealth. The 14th is non-consented. The only thing they have is embezzlement with dung contracts. And therefore, his children are destitute. Michael Jackson threw all his estate back to his mother. When he married Lisa Marie Presley, he brought that in, and he threw the Elvis estate to his mother too. Catherine Jackson owned the Elvis estate. She owns Sony, RCA. She owns the Beatle collection and everything Michael Jackson ever touched. Catherine is the primary investor in them. He was her first investment. And so she was the first investment. So anywhere he went, she owns debt-free by supreme contract. Anywhere he went, they have no contracts higher than her, and there's nothing they can do about it but continue to joke about the mule being a joke and continue to overlook the citizenship. But guess what? They have no contract supreme, and neither do the children. The children are a charity case, and this is going to be coming out more in 2013 as David ruled government, as King David ruled government get underway, because the Dracon masters of all these incorporate doctrines and all these squatters and thieves are now falling. They know they own stolen property. They know they are in corporate doctrine contractors. They just wanted to see how long Judah going to sleep, or how long they can get away with embezzlement and larceny and using Babylon hate with white-skinned children to try to steal Catherine estate that is debt-free and contract-free, because she didn't consent to nothing. Everything is hers by inheritance, and her investment, and her inheritance and investment. This is Mary Omni from the House of King David. Shalom.